Good evening, NFL fans. It is yours truly, Jay Smooth, here at the Rush Hour Sports Network. And of course, joining me as always is B Money. How are you doing, sir?
What's up, fam?
Doing all right. Well, good. I'm doing good on my part. Hope you're well.
I
Just gonna.
am.
Good,
What a week
good.
of football we had, bro.
Yeah, we had a good week of football this week. It certainly was. It certainly was one of the better weekends that we're gonna see in terms of divisional games. Like in terms of the divisional games, it certainly was one of the better weekends we've probably ever seen. And it started off on Saturday afternoon, excuse me, with the Bengals defeating the Titans 19-16. This was a very close game, as expected, but to be honest, I thought after the first Tannehill interception on the opening drive, I figured, okay, that's going to be game over. I see what this is going to be, and then it ended up being a lot closer than that. Certainly, a lot of questions after the game as to why Derrick Henry didn't receive the ball a lot more, even though it wasn't exactly one of his better games anyway. And even so, why like even though the Bengals did win, it was certainly a lot closer than anticipated in a way because Tannehill had a horrible game. It was certainly a running type of game for the Titans, but they didn't lean on it enough, and the Bengals were just able to escape.
Well, I mean, I think Henry got his touches. I mean, he got 20 plus touches in this game. It's just he just had some unfortunate events. I mean, some of Tannehill's interceptions were just tip passes, good plays by the defense. The Bengals just did their thing. Is the way I look at it.
Yeah, the Bengals definitely did their thing, but this certainly does raise questions about the Titans, though. Like now, there's non-committal about Tannehill being back and everything. And now, obviously that's Derrick Henry's team, but at the same time, it looks like the Titans are going to be in market for a quarterback because let's be honest, like even though Henry, it certainly was a good Henry game, wasn't a game-breaking game for him, but it was still very good. Even so, Tannehill was the reason they lost. The main reason they lost. And I have a feeling um, since the GM is not going to fire Vrabel, which honestly they should at least think about it. They're not going to though, but since they're not going to get rid of him, I have a feeling they're not necessarily going to sack Tannehill, but they're probably going to be in the market for a quarterback in the draft, and I wouldn't even be shocked if they try to get a mid tier one to compete with Tannehill in free agency, especially after this game.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, we always knew that Tannehill wasn't really that great of a quarterback. There are questions for Tennessee was would he be good enough to just survive and get them to the pin?
Right.
I think the biggest problem for them this year was just Derrick Henry just got injured, and if you ask me, he didn't even really look right in that game because he had his 20 plus touches, you know, and but he was only averaging 3 yards a carry. It was like one of his lowest averages in a game, um, and that ended up them having to put the onus on Tannehill, who only threw 24 passes. So it's not like they were throwing it that much. Uh, but when he did throw the ball, great things were not happening more times than not.
Yeah, and I
And
mean, I
he
mean the
was all, and he's not going to be that quarterback. If Derrick Henry's out, he's not going to be the quarterback that can win the
exact
football game for him. Not
exactly
the big ones.
exactly, and that's why they're gonna have to consider it in the like what to do with the future now because if they're in this situation again with Derrick Henry, they're gonna need a quarterback that can anchor the ship. And Tannehill, I mean, hey, they did what they could do just to get to the playoffs, but to be honest, that was work done way before Henry got hurt. So, only
Well, and
thing,
some of it was too with luck down the stretch.
right?
Uh,
It was a combination of Henry doing work and luck down the stretch, absolutely. But it was clear though that yeah, Tannehill was not going to be their guy. So I won't be surprised if either a free agent is picked up, not like a high end. I don't see them getting like a Russell Wilson or anybody like that, but um, I won't be surprised if they got somebody mid tier, like just to compete with Tannehill and take the job from him.
yeah, I wonder because I was looking at because I know like they had just re-signed him like last year, I think it was. Um, yeah, because what was so dumb and weird about it, I remember I think we might have even talked about it on the show. It was stupid because they signed Tannehill to an extension before they signed Derrick Henry, and both of them were
Yes.
like free agents in the same season.
That
Um,
is correct. And yeah, it was a dumb move, and we actually talked about it too. It was pretty bad.
yeah,
And it sucks now because it sucks for them because now they're pretty much paying for it. Well, they did pay for it in the form of that loss. And now they're going to have to reassess. So for the Titans, they're going to reassess. But for the Bengals, big win for them. And they're going to move on next week to face the Chiefs, who we're going to talk about a little later. In our next game, sir, I'm probably going to call this, well, actually, I should call this upset of the weekend. 49ers beat the Packers 13 to 10. And man, once again, another year where Aaron Rodgers is just booted right out of the playoffs. It's honestly it's sad, but at the same time, it kind of was fitting when you just when you throw in this entire thing with Aaron Rodgers from last off season, to trying to force his way out of Green Bay, to making this season our last dance or last chance to get to the title, and then you know all of a sudden the whole controversy with the vaccine thing that became a distraction for the team, and then you throw all of that stuff, all the drama off the field, and then on the field, they're lighting it up. They're looking like the top team, look like they're gonna actually go do it, and Rodgers is gonna just prove the organization wrong. He still got it, but then literally the first playoff game, they are one and done, and not just one and done. They went one and done at home in a game in which a West Coast team went all the way to Wisconsin, went all the way to Green Bay, and beat them by 10 with a block punt and basically two field goals, from what I understand. And Jimmy G didn't have to do anything. Uh,
oh no,
yeah,
no, he hasn't had to do anything for 2 games.
exactly. Jimmy G is coasting right now. His trade stock has gone up, and he hasn't done a damn thing. I honestly feel bad for the team that signs him because they're gonna get robbed. They're gonna get straight up robbed. They're gonna see this and they, oh, Jimmy's got something. He could be a game
So
manager.
it's
Watch,
true though.
yeah, watch like the newly named Washington team sell the farm for Jimmy and they get fleeced. Like that. That would be a DC move right there if it happened.
Damn.
I could see it happening, bro. And it's funny. The 49ers, they know how to win, man. They know how to win, but at the same time, Rodgers was not clutch in this game. Played one of his worst games, conservative down the stretch. He was not, Mr. Gunslinger, put the team on the back. Fuck it, I'm gonna be the GOAT and I'm gonna go out here and steal this. He didn't have any of that in him. And even after the game, when he talked about what the future would hold, and he just seemed like he was so uncertain. And then of course today on the Pat McAfee show, he did another little Jedi mind trick where he said, "Oh, I don't want to be a free agent, but at the same time, all options are open." That whole that whole type of thing. And essentially, he's a guy that is going to look at all of his options because the Packers looked at this. They looked at this one and done performance, and you know what they're going to say. You know what the front office is going to say. They're going to say, you know what? That's why we looked at Jordan Love and looked at other options. Even though Jordan Love sucks, they're going to say that's why we tried to look at other options aside from Rodgers. And they're going to point to this. It's disappointing, really. You know what I mean? Very disappointing.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough way to go. But I mean, yeah, in general, the Packers team, the defense was fun. They did their thing until the end.
Yes,
Um, but
they deserve credit.
I think like the best way for me to describe Aaron Rodgers' performance is just he played it safe.
He did.
He didn't risk it. He didn't play like, hey, this is if we lose, this is our last game of the season.
Exactly. It was very conservative, nonchalant. It wasn't like it's not like Brett Favre, where Brett Favre is gonna throw like 8, 9 interceptions, but at least he's gonna sling it. Or it's not like Josh Allen, where Josh Allen's gonna take a risk, or we're gonna talk about that later. But um, it's not like a gunslinger mentality or a put the team on the back and go for it mentality. Something we saw in the main game of the weekend. But yeah, out of and honestly, bro, out of all the quarterbacks that played, I think he had the most disappointing performance out of every quarterback that played throughout the weekend.
I mean, yeah. Well, I guess when you put in
Yeah.
expectations, yeah.
Jimmy G, you can make an argument for because he didn't do shit. He did nothing. But he did win the game, so he does get a little credit for that. But even so, he didn't do anything for it. But yeah, what like just because the expectations on Rodgers and all the pressure that was on him, considering this was the last dance, yeah, man, he had the most disappointing performance of the weekend. And I mean, hey, Tannehill had a rotten one too, but the pressure really
I mean,
wasn't on.
statistically, Tannehill would be
Right.
the worst, but
That's
yeah,
true, but yeah, in terms of like expectate like in terms of just full on who the spotlight was on, who the pressure was on, expectations. Definitely not even well. Even though yeah, Tannehill had the worst performance statistics wise, but I should call Rodgers' performance disappointing. Not the worst, but the most disappointing performance.
sure,
In
yeah,
terms, I think just in terms of expecting a lot more from him. It's the first playoff game. Like Tannehill, you don't expect a lot from in a way. You expect King Henry to kind of shelve that one, and he did what he could. But with Rodgers, it's like this is your last shot to show the Packers that you are not done, and he did not show any sort of urgency to win that game, and it was just full on disappointing.
yeah. And then of course the other cat in the bag that we got to reveal and talk about. If we're going to talk about this game
Right.
is despite that, despite Rodgers' performance and him playing conservative and safe, and yeah, we know snow and weather was a big issue too. But we got to talk about the special teams.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
all season
yeah.
long, actually coming into this game, both of these teams were two of the worst special teams in the league. But the Packers, we know in particular, had struggled all year long. Mason Crosby, I believe, led the league in missed kicks. Um, and they had other miscues elsewhere throughout the team throughout the year. But we got to talk about it in this game because it's a 10-point swing. And in a 3-point game, that's everything. I mean, the Packers are going on to the championship game. Hell, the Packers are going on to the championship game if the punt doesn't get blocked.
That's true.
Regardless, if
Right.
Crosby misses, because Crosby missed a field goal in this game too, which that's the difference as well. But even if just that field goal doesn't get blocked, the Packers are probably in the championship game again.
Right. It certainly makes sense, man. It's crazy because I gotta say it was certainly surprising to see that come out of Rodgers, but at the same time, yeah, the special teams was just awful in this one. Mason Crosby's had some bad performances this season too, but like usually he's pretty clutch when it comes to like situations like this, and it just wasn't working for him.
Yeah, and then as I said, like the biggest turning point was that block punt that the Niners returned for a touchdown. Let's not forget
Right.
that block punt the Niners returned for a touchdown was the only touchdown the Niners scored the entire game.
Exactly.
The
Jimmy.
offense
Right.
didn't do shit.
Jimmy. Right.
That
Jimmy.
was their
Jimmy G
only
did.
touchdown.
Right. Jimmy G didn't have to do anything, like I mentioned before. He literally coasted in a game like this, and that's why I feel like whoever trades for him is going to get fleeced because he hasn't had to do a whole lot throughout this run, and he's about to go to a conference title game. It's
Yeah.
sir. I tell you what, the man's got. When you have Debo Samuel, a defensive special teams playing like this, you're certainly gonna up your trade value without doing anything as a QB. It's crazy.
Hey, but let's put some respect on Garoppolo. This is his second NFC Championship game.
How about that? Two
God damn.
NFC title games, and this is the guy who sat behind Brady for the longest. I tell you what, that man probably took a lot of lessons from Brady and how to be a game manager. My goodness, I mean, Jimmy G's doing it up right now. I can't hate the man at all. And it's funny. Speaking of Tom Brady, you want to talk about one of the like most crazy games of the weekend. Actually, the craziest game of the weekend will be the final one, but this one right here, man, the Rams nearly gave this one away. 30-27. They survived by the skin of their teeth, but it was it started off good for the Rams. Started off great for the Rams actually, and then it almost turned into a disaster. I would say Atlanta Falcons and New England Patriots Super Bowl style, where they gave up a sizable lead, and
It
Brady
was
was
27-3 at one point in this game.
27-3, not 28-3, folks, but 27-3. The Rams nearly, well, they pretty much gave up a 27-3 lead,
Yeah,
and and then they had to kick the field goal to win. But yeah, they blew a 27-3 lead, and Brady, Brady being Brady, leading the march, leading the charge. And by the way, this was the first ever game where I saw Brady get a personal foul penalty for getting in the face of a referee. Normally, it is the person. Normally Brady gets that call, like he'll get it even if he gets tapped on the shoulder. In this game, no, the referee actually gave one to Brady when Brady, complained to get his flag and he didn't get it this time. Certainly speaks a lot about how the refs look at him and view him. Because normally he gets that favoritism, but in a game like this, he didn't. He even was bleeding from his mouth at one point after getting hit hard by Aaron Donald and company and Von Miller. But man, I'll tell you what, they led a charge that we did not see coming. I didn't see coming. It made me completely nervous because I had the Rams as an underdog in this game, and I ended up winning. But goodness gracious, they nearly gave this one away. And honestly, it really says a lot about the Rams, man. I don't know what it is, but there's no guarantee that they're going to like run over the 49ers next weekend. There's no guarantee after that because we nearly saw them choke away a lead. I wonder what you think about this.
yeah, like it was just wild to see uh, of just them giving up the lead like that. I mean, I guess one thing to consider is that this game wasn't Tampa, so maybe Tampa just had that home field advantage. Who knows?
That's true.
But at the same time, early in the game, as you just talked about, we saw Brady and them getting flags. We saw the Dominican Sugan personal fouls in this game. Like the Bucks were not, on their game, and were getting frustrated and bothered in this game. Uh, but yeah, just a lot of things, just went wrong for the Rams in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. That just like giving this game away. It was just such a shock. Whether it was 3 and outs, whether it was, I remember that fumble from Cooper Kupp in the fourth quarter, which is their best player. Like come on.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, that's right. He did have one. You mentioned Cam Akers, right?
Cam Akers had a fumble, but Cooper Kupp also had a fumble in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter.
Oh yeah, that's true. He did have one. You're right.
Both of them did.
Yeah, both of them had like fumbles in the most
As a matter
opportune
of fact, I
time.
think Cam Akers had two fumbles, but Cooper Kupp had one as well.
Yeah, man, it was weird. Like even though Cam Akers, like you said, had two of them, it was all over the place. And even that one bad snap that went over Stafford's head, like like it was so many weird things were happening in that game. It's almost like you felt a meltdown happening, and you just see Sean McVay's face melting on the sidelines over there, and he's just like, "What the hell? What do I do?"
Yeah, it was almost like Matt Stafford carried some Detroit Lions energy into this game.
Yeah, it was
But
like it was literally like Detroit Lions choking energy in this because it's
and it
like
wasn't even.
Stafford,
And the thing is that it's not even that like Matt Stafford was the one making the mistakes.
right?
The snap went over his head. Cooper Kupp had the fumble. Cam Akers had the two fumbles. This wasn't Matt Stafford, but he was his just the Detroit Lions energy was just affecting everyone else on the offense.
Right. It's just it.
Wild.
Yeah, man. My goodness. I and it's funny seeing this, like seeing the Rams nearly etch it out in the end. It makes me feel nervous for them next week because I feel like the Buccaneers should have won this game. It's a big disappointment that they didn't because they stormed back in the end but came up short. And I'd say another headline about this. We are once again back here. Is Tom Brady going to play again or is he done? When you look at a game like this and you see Brady still with the killer mentality and putting the team on his back at his age and fighting to the end, it almost seems like it's not. But then again, with every year that passes, that question has to be brought up, and it's not exactly crazy to ask. But what do you think? You think he's going to be back for at least one more year?
this might be it. And one and or put it this way,
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be it for Tom Brady in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform.
Ah, so you think he goes elsewhere?
And part of me thinks that because there's just been a lot of sentiment that this Bucks team is about to like they're about to clean house a little bit. Uh, just because I feel like just the way this season has unfolded for them. I mean, they've been good, but they definitely haven't been like as strong as they were in the playoff run last year.
Right.
Get the feeling that some players are gonna be gone. Yeah, they're gonna get like Chris Godwin and people back, but like
And
I think Godwin might have even been on the franchise tag anyway. But you get the feeling that like some people might not be back. I know even Bruce Arians, I think, said in a post game or after the game, like, yeah, this Bucks team is done, or something like that, something along those lines of like, we don't know what's gonna go on. I feel like this Bucks team, that like the whole Antonio Brown thing,
right.
like roughed up the locker room morale
It did.
about this team.
It destroyed it. It destroyed it, pretty much.
That that I just feel like that I get the feeling that people are gonna be looking for a fresh start. So I feel like if Tom Brady is back, which I wouldn't be surprised if he calls it a career, just because of the fact of just like dealing with the drama this year and what was probably happening that we don't even know.
Right.
That like I feel like it could have even just been like that much just a mental toll of that's why Tom Brady's talking and saying what he's saying now, just like, yeah, I don't think I can deal with this bullshit anymore. It's not even just that he can't play. It's not even just he doesn't think he can play anymore. It's pretty obvious he can still play. He's
Oh
going to be
yeah.
an MVP candidate, in a couple of weeks. But I just worry. I just wonder if he's tired of the bullshit, you know.
Oh
And
yeah.
so if he does play again, I wonder if he goes to a different team.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I wouldn't be surprised actually. It's funny the way you laid it out. It certainly seemed as if excuse me, seemed as if Brady is either looking for a new situation or he's really thinking, is this going to be the end? Because it's going to be like if he goes to a new situation, it's going to have to be a ready-made situation for him because he's not at the age where he can necessarily sit back and sit through
Oh yeah,
like a
he's in
rebuild
win
or
now
something.
mode
Yeah,
every year at this
exactly.
point.
Like yeah, exactly. So if he does go somewhere else, it needs to be a ready-made team that is a quarterback away. Like it has to be one of those type of squads.
Yeah, I agree.
It's gonna be
But I mean, the interesting thing though is that is figuring out like what that team could be if we were to think about it. Because
right.
if you remember when he first came over to the Bucks, I mean, we looked at them as a team that was a quarterback away, but they were still, in the Jameis Winston era, like 8-8. They were a middling team,
And they were
second, third
yeah,
place in their division.
and they were able to win a
So
Super Bowl with just Brady. So
yeah, like just adding Brady into the mix immediately made them a Super Bowl contender, even though they were like an 8-8 team before. So like,
it's like, but here's what's interesting though. It's like it definitely you are right. It has to be a certain team. Like for example, it can't be like the Washington football team. For example, like you can't put him there, and there's no way they're gonna be a Super Bowl contender because it's literally gonna be him and like two weapons. But if you put him on a team, say like, if you put him on Denver, who's got a little bit more, or if you put him in Seattle, with the receiver whose name DK Metcalf, like if you put him
I wouldn't
there,
even I wouldn't even say Seattle's an option because I think Seattle is a team that's kind of in the same kind of area where they're going to be starting like a mini rebuild, if you will.
they
I
are.
think you bring up a team like Denver. I think like that could be a team that's like a middling team that's like a quarterback away.
Well, yeah,
They got the
Denver
receivers. They
would be
got
the
the
best.
defense.
Yeah, Denver would be the best option.
I think another option to throw out, because of the rumors of them trying to is Cleveland, and Baker Mayfield's gone.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked at that because, I mean, well, actually, it's funny we haven't even talked about it that much. The whole Baker Mayfield thing is actually intensified because now it seems like him and Stefanski don't get along, and him and it seems like it's more of a management versus coach type of thing. And usually, when you see that in Cleveland, things break down pretty quickly. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't ship out Stefanski, which that I don't see them doing that. Baker could very well be shipped out of Cleveland.
Or as another option in the same division, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the only thing with Pittsburgh though is they seem like a team that doesn't really pick quarterbacks that are I would say like rentals. They seem like the type to develop within their own system, like when you see in their history of quarterbacks and whatnot. So that
I
would be
mean, I
that.
agree,
Yeah, that
but
would
I
be
also
that
think
would be like a new thing for them if they did it though.
it would be, and I agree. But I
Yeah,
just think that they're also a team that is probably a quarterback away from contending.
they definitely are. They definitely are. If they feel like it's next year or bust, then yeah, they would go with Brady. But if they're gonna follow their Steeler tradition, they're probably just gonna draft somebody and hope for the best. Even though that would be a terrible idea at this point, unless they are committed to full on rebuilding, in which case I feel bad for Najee Harris, him and
Well,
T.J.
I mean,
Watt.
he would be the centerpiece of that too, though. So.
Yeah, that's true. At least he can sit on that though. But yeah, you know what? That is interesting though. That is an interesting. Oh, another one that we could throw out there. I know that the whole Taysom Hill thing is a bit of a wrench, but I think after the quarterback situation in New Orleans, you think that could be possible?
That could be possible, but they need Michael Thomas to fucking play.
Yeah, they need Michael
That man
Thomas
hasn't played
bad.
in like 2 years.
They need that man bad. You're right about that.
Like that's also part of the problem in New Orleans is that no matter who's playing quarterback, they haven't had a receiver to throw to.
And actually, speaking of New Orleans, we have some news to break about them. We'll do that after we do our final game here. But and actually, speaking of our final game, man, what a showdown this was. What a shootout. The Chiefs ended up winning 42-36. This is not just a spectacular win for the Chiefs yet again. This is a heartbreaking loss for the Bills, man. This really
It
felt
truly
like,
is.
yeah, hey man, this felt like the Bills' year. This felt like their year. It felt like they were gonna get that revenge. You know, they were gonna go into Arrowhead, get that revenge. They came so fucking close though, but in the end, that Bills defense let them down. That Leslie Frazier led Bills defense that was supposed to be so dominant.
Cough, cough, the #1 defense in the league.
Exactly. They were supposed to be like literally top defense in the league. They let the Chiefs march down the field in what was it, 13 seconds?
Uh huh.
13 seconds. They let them march down the field in 13 seconds. After Josh Allen put the Bills on his back and said, "We are going to win this fucking game." And Leslie Frazier and that Bills defense let them down. It's heartbreaking for Bills fans because when you watch that game just go back and forth the way it did, it really felt like the Bills had this game won.
For sure.
It really felt that way. But Mahomes combined with the Bills defense just shit in the bed, and of course can't forget about Tyreek Hill who damn near outran and waved to the Bills defense for
That
one.
man's too fast.
Exactly, just too
He's
fast,
too fast.
too much to deal with. Man, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, Chiefs, they get it done. Andy Reid told Mahomes to be the Grim Reaper, and that's exactly what he was in overtime. And a lot of people are crying about the overtime rules. The only people really doing that are Bills fans that are salty, but I get it, man. I get it. Bills fans, this was your fucking year. This was your year, so I get why you are salty about that overtime rule. But even so, you shouldn't have allowed Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs to march down the field in 13 seconds when you have the alleged, as Money said, the alleged #1 defense in the league.
There's no excuse.
You're right, just no excuse. And yeah, man, what
I don't
what
care who the quarterback is. There's no excuse.
exactly none whatsoever, man. And It's funny. Now the Bills have to really assess a lot in the offseason here because this is heart wrenching. Uh, is Stephon Diggs? This is usually the part where Stephon Diggs is going to start to kind of look around and say, "What the fuck are we doing here?" Because this is what happened in Minnesota when they choked up in the NFC title game and haven't been back since, even after that miracle. This is when Stephon Diggs was like, "All right, I think I'm done here." There's a very good chance that this Bills team's not going to look the same next year. Leslie Frazier is already being interviewed for head coaching jobs. Thank goodness he won't be in Minnesota because the Vikings already hired him in the past, and that did not work out well. I don't know how many more how many more interviews he's going to get after that defense just fucking collapsed at the end of that game. But nonetheless, it seems like he's going to be gone. Um, as far as the team goes, I don't know how much of that team they're going to keep intact, but it certainly seems like the Bills have a lot of reassessing to do in the offseason because again, this is another heartbreaker. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's the worst way to lose, and we've talked about it so much. And
Yes.
what sucks is this: is like this team is honestly loaded. Like if I were to say, like if there's any real weakness that they had was that, granted, he started to come on a little bit toward the end of the year, but like they really don't have a running game outside of Josh Allen
Right.
himself running the football. So like if there's anything that they could do better, it's that. But their wide receiving core is amazing. Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, who probably won't be back next year,
Right.
Cole Beasley,
Right.
Gabriel Davis broke out this year. Isaiah McKenzie broke out this year. Their defense has pieces everywhere. The only problem for them, I know, coming into this is that Tre'Davious White got injured in the season. Their best corner, they lost him.
Yes.
He wasn't playing. But like even still, the people that were filling in for him were playing fantastic all year long, except for this game, of course. Uh, but yeah, it's like, what do you do? I mean, I think they gotta do some reassessing. I think, as I said, I think the biggest thing for them, other than figuring out what they need to do on defense so that they don't get beat like this in the air when of just trying to figure out how to win these games.
Right.
I don't think they're at a time to blow up the team yet though or anything.
Right. Right.
I definitely think they're definitely a team that they'll be back next year and they can try again. I mean, from our perspective, I think about like the Joe Flacco Ravens era, like his first 5 years. It took 5 or 4 years before they won that Super Bowl. And that team was mostly the same for those 4 years, with maybe just a little tweaks here and there.
That's true.
So they'll be back. As I said, they need to figure out getting themselves a running game. Tre'Davious White will be healthy next year. Maybe they get a little bit stronger on the back end, but we'll see him again.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna see him again. I'll tell you what, man, the Bills are gonna be one of those teams where we're gonna see them. We're always gonna see them in the playoffs. We're always gonna see them at the top of the league, at least for a little while. But it's certainly gonna be crazy. It's certainly crazy that their season ends like this. Everything they went through, everything that like the heartbreak from last season and the heartbreak from this season. It was a lot, man. Like 2 years in a row, they're gonna be going through some pain like this. But nonetheless, um, yeah. Even with the reassessing they do, I don't see them necessarily doing anything drastic. They're gonna look for a new defensive coordinator though, because I believe Leslie Frazier will be on his way out. No idea where he's gonna head coach, but I won't be surprised if he's headed out soon. He already started doing Zoom interviews, I believe, with the Giants, among a few other teams. I think even with the Bears at one point. So we'll see where he goes. But yeah, certainly a heartbreaking one for the Bills. Hopefully next year they come back better than ever.
For sure.
And now,
hopefully they finally get that
revenge. Excuse me. And yeah, man, I hope they do too because, bro, that's a heartbreaking way to go out, especially with the run they went on and the loaded team they got.
And especially for it to be the second year in a row.
Right, that's another thing.
Like the same way.
Right. The second year in a row this goes down, man. It's unbelievable. Uh, anyways, I'm going on to sportsbetting.a. I'm sorry, mybookie.ag for our conference title games this week. And first game, the Bengals and the Chiefs. The Bengals, just like last week, are an underdog, and this time they are an underdog by 7 points. I am going to pick the Chiefs because it's at home, but I gotta say, man, the Bengals have a good chance of making this a game here. I don't think they're necessarily going to. I don't think they're necessarily going to get blown out because Joe Burrow and that offense, they know how to fight, man. They know how to fight. It's going to be tough though for that defense to slow down Tyreek Hill. It's going to be tough for them to contain Mahomes, but I believe they can certainly put it on. I certainly believe they can put on a good performance. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget that a month ago the Bengals beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. Of course, this stage is completely different. The playoffs is the conference championship game. Um, I think the Chiefs come away with a win here as well. The Bengals, they've had a good run, for their first time in the playoffs. They're showing that they can work under pressure, and I think with Joe Burrow, they got something that is going to be a dangerous team, and they might be another team, like the Bills that we were just talking about, that will be in the playoffs and might be up here, and making some playoff runs in the future. I think the Chiefs got this one.
I agree, man. It's going to be a very good AFC Championship game, though. I gotta say, even if the Bengals lose this game, which I believe they will, I'm certainly proud of them because nobody expected them to make a run like this. We knew how good they were, and we knew that they were capable of doing this, like going on a run. But I didn't think they'd make it this far, so I gotta give them the credit where it's due. But yeah, unfortunately, their run's gonna end here. Now, the second game is where things get interesting. The Rams and 49ers. We just witnessed the 49ers pull off the upset of the weekend, and we just witnessed the Rams nearly choke away choke a 27-3 lead, but almost lose the game as a result. 3.5 points separates the Rams and separates the 49ers. I am going to pick. I'm really uncomfortable doing this. I really am, but I'm going to slightly favor the Rams. Even though they are the obvious favorite here, with the 49ers, Jimmy G did nothing. Jimmy G literally had a lucky special teams play, some good defense, some actually strong defensive play, and then of course a little bit of help from the weapons to kind of help hold things down a little bit. But even so, last week's game was not one of their better games. It was just a performance that was enough to get them the win. The Rams put up more points, but even so, the Rams are more than capable of choking away a lead. Now, this is the third time these two teams have played. But after what the Rams just did, man, even though it's a risk, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Rams. I think the Super Bowl is when they're going to fall into real trouble, though.
Yeah, so we got Niners and Rams. Just a few weeks ago, these two teams played in SoFi in LA. The Niners came away with the win to get themselves into the playoffs. Pressure cooker game for them. But I agree with you. I picked the Rams as well, despite their collapse. I think they'll tighten things up for this one. Again, we kind of talked about it, how like a lot of the things that led to them letting the Buccaneers back in the game was a lot of just like fluky things.
Right.
When you think about it, I feel like the Rams will tighten up and they'll be able to take care of this one. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It seems like Rams and Chiefs is gonna be our Super Bowl this year. It's crazy though. The Rams, at least we know, are capable of choking away a lead. The question is, will they be able to do? Will they actually do it again this week? Don't think they'll be able to do it against Jimmy G and the 49ers. I see the Chiefs Rams Super Bowl, and hey, you know, it's crazy, man. Mahomes and the Chiefs are hard to stop. Can't stop Tyreek Hill either. And as for the Rams, it's going to be their year to go to the Super Bowl, but not their year to win it for sure. But we'll certainly get to that if the matchup matches up. So, folks, we're going Rams 49ers. Sorry, we're going Rams and Chiefs, both favorites, -7, -3.5. You want to get to the news before we get out of here?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the quick news, you kind of hinted at it before.
Mm-hmm.
That's Sean Payton out as the Saints head coach.
Yeah, man. This right here, shocking news in a way because, he was a bit like quiet toward the end of the season, but you know what? It makes a lot of sense when you when you look at the quarterback situation there with the whole thing with Taysom Hill was a bit weird, and it seemed like that team. It seemed like they were in a little bit of a little bit of a not a rebuilding phase, but it seemed like they were headed that way. Because, like you said, they had no Michael Thomas. They struggled mightily this year. They lost Jameis Winston this year. Alvin Kamara definitely was hurt throughout the year and tried his best to play through it and whatnot. But yeah, certainly was not one of the stronger seasons for the Saints. And it was a very weird year considering that strange contract they signed and everything else. But yeah, Sean Payton had a good run though, with 15 seasons. And I gotta be honest with you, after after Bounty Gate, I didn't think his NFL career would last that much longer. But he's found a way to stay in the league and to adapt. That's another thing that not a lot of coaches were able to do that he was able to do. He was able to adapt and switch up from that sort of mentality because he led that brigade back in the day. And quite frankly, should have been booted out of the league for it, but he did not. He was able to stick around 15 seasons. He did win a Super Bowl, so he certainly can call himself Super Bowl champ. But even so, this seems like a fitting. It seems like a fitting, and it wasn't something we expected, but it makes sense that it happened. It certainly makes sense. He's been around long enough.
Yeah, he's been around for a minute.
Absolutely. And the rumors are he's probably going to go into media, so he's probably going to be doing NFL Today, just like regular TV stuff for like a year or two. And then maybe he'll look at the coaching market after a season, but for now, he's just going to step away. And also, I would say Falcons tight end Lee Smith retires after 11 seasons to become a youth mentor. Random Falcons tight end retired after 11 seasons. Never heard of the guy, but he lasted 11 seasons. So there you go. Somebody retired today.
Also news, the Bears hire a new general manager.
Yes, they do. The Vikings are also working on hiring one, but go ahead.
The Bears hire Ryan Poles to be their new general manager. He was previously the director of player personnel, the Chiefs.
And fun fact, he actually was an undrafted rookie free agent when it came to the NFL. Went undrafted and yet worked in the NFL, found a way to work in the NFL, and he now runs a team despite not even being drafted. That's a great story right there.
It is indeed.
And funny enough, the Vikings are actually working to hire. Now this guy's three names: Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Adolfo-Mensah is hyphenated. Dude has three names. He used to be an executive for the Browns, but it looks like this guy is going to be the next general manager of the Vikings. I have no clue who he is, but I'll say this: he was better. He's probably going to be better than the last bum that was there because look at the Browns right now. Look who's on that team. So hopefully he's going to be worth a damn. At least I'm hoping that. By the way, as of right now, I should mention this because you know me, because every year I do my little peek at the draft. There's only two quarterbacks that have been selected in round one out of the latest mock draft, and that was Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh and Matt Corral from Ole Miss. So that just goes to show how bad the quarterback class is this year. Let's see. Any other news? Let's see.
Some other news, kind of on the coordinator levels. I'm just gonna read off a few things that have happened in the past week.
Okay.
Pittsburgh Steelers defensive coordinator Keith Butler has retired from coaching.
Ah, so they lost
Uh,
coordinator.
Baltimore Ravens part ways with Wink Martindale as their defensive
And the
coordinator.
fact that Greg Roman didn't join him out the door is a crime. Somebody definitely needs to get their ass kicked for making that decision. I will say this. Um, even though even though the defense obviously didn't have a strong. It had a good year despite injuries and whatnot. There needs to be something with the play calling. Something new needs to happen there on the offensive play calling, that is, because Greg Roman has overstayed his welcome, and I feel like we need more creativity on the offense, and Greg Roman has failed to produce anything.
I agree completely. Other news: the Panthers hire Ben Mcadoo to be their new offensive
Ben Mcadoo.
coordinator. Yes, sir.
They got fleeced. that's a that's a horrible hire. Oh my goodness! Whoever is the general manager of the Panthers needs to get their ass kicked. Ben McAdoo? Oh, that's as bad as hiring Jason Garrett to call your plays like the Giants did. My lord.
Speaking of the Giants, and Ben McAdoo is a former Giants actor. Speaking of all of that, speaking of the Giants,
Hmm.
the Giants have hired their new general manager, Joe Schoen, who was formerly an assistant general manager for the Bills.
Yeah. So the Giants are at least, well, from the GM perspective, at least they got somebody who is associated with a winner. Now the question is, can they bring that winning mentality to New York slash New Jersey? A lot of Giants fans that I know personally have no fucking faith in the front office doing anything good, but we shall see. As long as Jason Garrett's calling your plays and Danny Jacobs is the quarterback, or Daniel Jones is the quarterback, I don't see them doing anything significant. But we shall see.
Yeah. Well, that is it for my news for now.
Good
I
stuff.
guess as I guess can we go ahead and make it so next week on next week's show? Looking forward to not only talking to you guys about some championship games and giving the results from that, but I think what we're going to do next week is instead of giving our predictions for the Super Bowl, we'll save that for the following week.
Yes, correct.
We're gonna lay out everything that's going on in the coaching carousel, all the rumors, people who would be interviewed, talk about who might be getting hired or who we think maybe should be getting hired in different positions, coaches, general managers, etc. Hopefully, we'll also have some news next week about maybe people starting to get hired. So,
Absolutely. So, folks, look out for next week. Conference championships we're going to talk about, but yeah. So the reason we're doing this is because, for those that don't know, after the conference championship games, the Super Bowl is not the next week. The Pro Bowl is, and as per tradition for football fans, nobody gives a shit about the Pro Bowl. So
of course.
right, we haven't talked lineups, we haven't talked who made it, who got snubbed, because nobody gives a shit. So while we have that break, that little week break, so to speak, between the conference championships and Super Bowl, we're going to use Pro Bowl week as our little off-season show week, where we're going to talk about the coaching carousel. We're going to talk about off-season news, and hey, even if we want to fill some time, we might start our little off-season series in which we're going to start talking about what each team should do. We're obviously going to extend that throughout the offseason, but, maybe if we're feeling up for it, if we want to fill in some time, we just might start on that. But yeah, next week, it's going to be all about the coaches. Who should be going where, who should be hired, who should be fired. We're going to get into every single team, all 32. So if you want to hear about what your team should do or what we think your team should do, definitely hit the notification bell for next week, because next week's going to be a big show. Now, Also, in addition to that, uh, I should also announce this. I am going to begin doing a little draft preview in which starting in the off season, starting after the Super Bowl, every week that we do the show, I am going to profile a different draft player. It's gonna be not it's gonna not gonna be position based. It's gonna be literally best available, like the number one overall on everybody's board. And mainly I'm just gonna cover like maybe 4 or 5 players after every show, just little gems to maybe if you all are wondering who are some players you should look out for. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, this draft has no stars in it. When you look at the draft this year, the quarterback class is weak. There are some running backs that are gems, but nobody knows who they are. The receivers are unknown for the most part. I know some from some of the gambling I did on college football this season, but I got to be honest with you. Even when I did my profiling, I did not know who any of these people are. Offense, defense, special teams. So my goal is to start the research now that we're getting toward the end of the season, and in the beginning of our off season, I'm gonna do it after the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, after every episode we do after the Super Bowl, no matter when we do it, I'm gonna profile a different draft player, and I'm gonna tell you all why this person is somebody you should look out for. So I'm gonna try to find who the best of the best are, because, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. This draft class is full of unknowns, but I feel like we need to know who some of the best are. We don't need to know like all 10 or 20, but I'll pick out like 5 that I believe are worth talking about. So certainly gonna
Gotcha.
absolutely. So certainly
Looking
gonna be
forward to
some.
that.
Oh, absolutely, man. So definitely we're gonna have draft
Jay
pro.
Smooth, your NFL draft expert.
Yes, sir. We got to. Hey, I got to give out the draft profiles. We have to do some Mel Kipering of some type around here. But yeah, man, I'm gonna be doing the draft profiles. I know you're gonna be looking at the coaching carousel as well as looking at all the moves and whatnot. But yeah, folks, our shows for the next weeks and beyond are gonna be fun. You're gonna get coaching. You're gonna get coaching coverage. You're gonna get team coverage. You're gonna get off-season stuff. Everything you guys need, you're gonna tune in right here. Even stuff about the draft, I'll be throwing out there. So B
Oh, and
Money.
let's not forget.
Oh, what's
So,
up?
as we talk about Pro Bowl week, we're doing our thing, but Super Bowl week,
Ah,
yeah, our Super Bowl preview, and also, I think, I think we're gonna make that the Rush Hour Sports NFL award show. We give our predictions for MVP, or our
ah,
picks for MVP,
I like that.
Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, all of that stuff.
The
So
Rush Hour.
again,
Oh, go ahead.
several episodes coming up. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. The Rush Hour Sports Network presenting the Smooth Money NFL Award Show. It's certainly going to be a good one right there. You're going to have your awards. I'm going to have my awards. We're going to have our combined awards. We're going to go all over the place with it because, I mean, let's face it. We had some of the best of the best. We had the worst of the worst. You're going to see awards from best player to worst player, um, best, most exciting game to the best tank bowl game of the year, all sorts of stuff.
Skull Drag of the Year.
Skull drag of the year, everything. You're gonna get everything. Worst coach of the year, worst play call of the year, worst decision of the year. You're gonna get everything over here, man. So, folks, the fun does not stop just because the season does not stop. We cover football all year round. Even during the off season, we're covering it and we're monitoring it. So if you guys want to know what's happening in the NFL and beyond, make sure you subscribe here. And also, I'd like to give a special shout out to everybody that tuned into my National Football Championship preview as well as the bowl game. Oh, and also, I have a big announcement I'd like to make. Speaking of the Super Bowl, I think you might like this one too. This is an exclusive one. So last year, I did a live stream for the Chiefs versus Buccaneers Super Bowl. And due to the popularity of that show, as well as a whole new slew of subscribers have joined us since then that have been asking me to do a, like, cover some sort of game, I have agreed that this year I am going to do the Super Bowl. So whoever is in the Super Bowl, whether it's Chiefs and Rams, Bengals 49ers, Bengals Rams, Chiefs 49ers, I will be going live for the Super Bowl. And I believe, wait, let me get the actual date. I believe it is February the 13th. Yes, it is February 13th, 6:30 p.m. on NBC. So, folks, uh, if you want to see that, make sure you tune into my main channel. Well, not my main channel, but my combat sports channel, Rush Hour Mixed Martial Arts. The reason I'm doing it there is because it is a huge channel. Like, I have a bunch of viewers and stuff, and I have a lot of football fans over there as well as over here. A lot of the football fans that are subscribed here are subscribed there, so just for the sake of wanting a big audience, I'm going to do it over there. I'm also going to have the phone lines open, so because if you just so happen to be watching the game and you want to just give some sort of live thought that you have out of nowhere because of what you're seeing, the phone line will be open. So if you want to, obviously you can call. All those listening out there, if you want to, you are free to call in. I want to give a shout out to Teddy, by the way, who called in, asking me about the games during the fights last weekend. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing a Super Bowl show this year. It'll be a Rush Hour special, and I believe absolutely. And by the way, I think Urinating Tree did one last year too, so that will be interesting on both ends. Uh, Anyways, folks, a lot to look forward to here. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the games as well. For J Smooth, B Money, of course. B Money, I will see you next week, correct?
For sure.
Good stuff. And folks, we're gonna be covering who wins these games, as well as doing our coaches special. That'll be run by B Money. And folks, have yourselves a good one. Enjoy all the action. The games last week were fantastic. I can only imagine what Conference Championship Sunday is going to bring us. Chiefs and Bengals look promising. Rams and 49ers, literally a divisional matchup. And these two have already played twice. So who the hell knows how they're going to come out in the third game. But folks, I'll see you all next week. And until then, B Money and I are out.